All right, great team win. Great way to set the tone of this series, and unbelievable crowd. I mean, electric crowd. I mean, we got to figure out. We got to play, South Carolina more times, or figure out how to get that type of crowd more often, because we feed off the energy, and just appreciate the students. We're making a ton of noise. Everyone that was lined up. I mean, it looked like a sea of people down the left field line, and then everybody, in their seats, just clapping and standing up, and 2 outs, 2 strikes, just making noise, and all those things. Our players feed off that energy. So really appreciate the crowd and the energy and the atmosphere and the electricity that made DKS rocking tonight. So we had pitching, we had some defense, we had timely hitting, scored 3 runs with 2 outs. Colin Priest with a big 2-out, 2-run double. Josh Pano had a 2-out RBI walk. And then obviously the exclamation mark, what felt like, really just kind of that nail, that final nail when JP hit the bomb. And then Lucas getting 9 outs, that's tough to do. And to do it the way he did it, and pitch the way he's done that before, and it's super valuable to have a guy like Lucas that can be extended and save a game and go length for us. So that's big time. But a lot of bright spots tonight. But obviously we're happy with the win tonight. But there's a lot more to do this weekend. So certainly not satisfied.
All right, questions for players?
Jaron, that was a nice backflip by you after the game. Are you gonna maybe make that a tradition, or do it again tomorrow if you all beat the Gamecocks?
I don't know. It's just kind of an in the moment thing. I don't know if I'll make it tradition or anything. I was just excited.
I don't think you got an at-bat in this series last season, but you've been down here in South Carolina a couple years now. At what point did you realize how meaningful this rivalry was, and how special was it for you to get that homer tonight?
As soon as I got here, I knew how important this rivalry was, just not for our team, but the state of South Carolina. Our objective and goal every season is to beat the Gamecocks, and that's just what we want to do. We want to compete as hard as we can. We know that they're a super good competitive team, so we just want to essentially outcompete and just compete to our best abilities.
Jaron, when you see a guy like Aiden, usually pretty reserved, and he gets so pumped up in the first inning after that strikeout, what does that do for the emotions of the team at that moment?
It gives us a boost. Aiden is really good, so whenever we see him doing his thing on the mound, giving us an opportunity to take a lead or even just get some runs on the board with his holds, that's just what we need. He's really good player, does his job, and he's just a really good leader for our team.
Lucas, 3 appearances, 3 saves this season. How have you kind of embraced that closer role so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at our bullpen, we've got so many different guys who can do, that role or whatever. I mean, we've got Drew, Reed, Igor, just a bunch of different guys who can kind of fill that spot. And, for myself, kind of going into that, I mean, that's just the first step. Now I'm gonna pass the baton and we'll see where it goes.
I don't think they know who Igor is.
Oh, Nathan, sorry.
Lucas, what were you thinking in that moment as you saw that ball floating out to left field there?
Yeah, I mean, we teach one thing here. I mean, the other day, Seven brought up this thing. That's the difference. So, I mean, that's the difference from, Gaffney, holding his foot on the bag there. That's the difference between both of those balls almost going out. I mean, it was a tough moment, but, that's the difference.
Did your heart almost drop though when you saw it come off the bat?
Yeah, it dropped. I think everybody's heart to see it drop. But
What was it like? Baseball. What was it like pitching against a couple of former teammates tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I think it brought some emotion out from a lot of different guys, and it just fueled the fire. All the fans being there, just really supporting us. It was cool to play against them, but it was also cool to experience that as well.
During that moment when you hit the home run and you look over at your dugout and get to celebrate it before you get on over to first base, what was that like for you to know, that feeling in that moment?
It's just a team moment. I had a job to do. The team motivated me, the fans motivated me. I just wanted to do a job, hopefully get on base for the team.
it looked like your eyes lit up when you saw that ball hanging as it came at you. What were you thinking, or not thinking in that moment, but what did you see with that pitch?
I had a plan, a good approach, especially from our coaches today. We executed the plan very well as a team. A lot of QABs in that final moment, especially throughout the game. We had a plan in our scouting meeting. We executed that plan really well. You have the plan, you do the job, and then whatever happens, happens. I mean, it's a game of failure. You hope to succeed every time, but it's just not going to happen like that. And fortunately, it did happen like that tonight. So it was a good win for us.
That was quite a bat flip. It looked like it almost caught you on the way down. Did anybody kid you about that afterwards?
Yeah, I don't really like playing like that, honestly. Obviously, emotions get the best of everybody in a very exciting situation, but I try to stay as humble as possible, especially in those situations. I'm not gonna apologize for it because it was a really big moment, but yeah, that's not my style. And sometimes you just gotta learn how to conserve all that emotion, energy, and excitement. Go Lions, by the way.
Can you walk us through, after you cross home plate after home run, you did a celebration with your team. Can you tell us, or walk us through, like, what was the dance celebration you did?
That's something for us only. That's only for us.
What'd you do?
Huh?
Anything else for the players? All right, thank you, players.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, questions for Coach? Go ahead.
Coach, how nervous were you on those two flies in the ninth inning? They got a hold of.
Well, you watch the ball and then you watch the outfielder, and the way Dom, went back to the wall with his back to the wall, you could tell he kind of had a beat on it, and it was just, he hit it really hard, but he hit it very high, and so that was just one of those ones that, we were fortunate that he hit it good, but just lucky for us, it was not quite over the fence. So that would have obviously been a huge game tying swing right there. But I'm glad Dom got it for sure.
Can Lucas come back on Sunday? Would he be able?
He probably can. Yeah, I would need to look at his pitch count and see what the final tally was. Anyone have? How many pitches did Lucas throw? Do you know?
I didn't see it. I think we're about around 40, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was around 40.
40, yeah. Then he might be able to come back Sunday. Yeah. Usually, it's like the rule of thumb is
31.
1 hour for every
41.
pitch.
Sorry.
So 1 hour for every pitch. So if he 31 pitches would take him out maybe tomorrow, especially with the night game to the day game. But certainly could come back Sunday, and he bounces back well. It's kind of one of his superpowers. Is not only can he be extended in a game, but he can be extended and he can bounce back.
How big is it for you knowing you can bring him out to start the seventh and he'll be able to go 3 innings to close it out for you?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, absolutely huge. And if Petrie wasn't leading off, I don't know if we would have done that in the seventh because McGovern was pitching good too. But Petrie's their best guy, and we just felt like in a 1-run game, and you got a guy at the plate that can, tie the game with one swing. We wanted to go with Lucas and knew that he could give us 7, 8, 9. He's done it before.
Did y'all go back and look at Aiden for now 3 weeks in a row? That third inning is seeming to bite him a little bit. It's the only one that seems to give him trouble. Do you kind of go back and maybe see what's going on to why he's having these issues in the third? Do you think?
I hadn't made that connection about the third, but that's a good point. And I don't know if it would be anything like something about the third inning, but it's been kind of that second time through the order kind of thing. That probably times up with the third inning. But he just had a little bit of spray tonight. Maybe got squeezed in some calls. I thought he struck Petrie out on the would have been a strike him out, throw him out. I thought that that was a close one. But yeah, it's a tough angle when you're looking at the side. So maybe it was outside, but. Yeah, so he, but we don't need all the calls, and he doesn't need all the calls. But he did have a little more, I'm interested to see his strike percentage because when he's going good, his strike percentage is usually 64% or higher. But he, there's actually a lot of good there to know how good of a pitcher he is, and he hasn't pitched. We haven't seen, what he's truly capable of yet. So I have a feeling he's going to settle in here as we keep going.
Coach, how pleased are you with the start of the season that Collins had at the DH?
Yeah, Colin can really impact the ball, and he's not just a power hitter; he's a good hitter. And for him to hit a 2-strike breaking ball like that and put us up by 2, that's huge. Left on left breaking ball. So he's just a very good hitter and just a big physical kid that can, kind of like Basetta, same way. Like doesn't have to hit it all. Can miss hit balls out of the park, but just a very has that knack for putting the barrel on the ball as well. So, and he takes his walks. His plate decisions are also really good as well. So it's a great start. That great to have him in the middle of our order. He certainly lengthens our lineup and gives us a real power threat in the middle.
Luke Gaffney, coming into the season, everyone was talking about his bat, but it seems like he's been a wall over there at first base for you guys to start the season.
He's been awesome. I mean, that play that he made when Mahlstedt threw it off the base, and for him to get his foot back on the base, it's way harder than it seems. And for him to even catch the ball, let alone get his foot back. But he's been great over there. He's a good athlete. But yeah, he's been very valuable at first base defensively.
What was it like having Dabo in the dugout tonight? Has he ever been in the dugout during a game?
No, that was great. There's like a few people that have like a standing invitation, and he's one of them. And so it was great to get him in there. And we had to break the streak of me being on the radio and giving up a jack. So, I told him when we talked earlier, I said, look, it's been like 5 games in a row. It seems like when I'm on the radio in the 4th inning, we give up a homer. So I'm going to get off as quick as I can, and you get on. So it's great. It's a 1, 2, 3 inning. So we should do that more often.
There's a moment there in the bottom of the second where you guys had first and third and Lissy was on first. Was there ever a thought of trying to run some sort of play and get the ball moving around the infield to try and score Chufo there?
Oh boy, what?
You had McClatty up and Cam was on deck. It was bottom of the second.
But yeah, no, we weren't thinking about a first and third play in the second. Tough to run those sometimes with the lefty, just because you can't. You got to read his move, and he had a pretty good move. Plus, you got the heart of your order coming up. So, but yeah, we do have a lot of first and third plays, and we haven't used them yet. But that's something that is in the arsenal if needed.
Coach, with Aiden's super strong reaction to striking out Nolan, then coming over, pounding his chest and everything, when a guy like that, one of your star players, performs like that and is outwardly so emotional, what do you think that does for the rest of the guys?
I like it. I would never tell any of our guys not to, just be themselves. And in that moment, Aiden normally doesn't do that, but I thought in, rivalry series, big game, electric crowd, big strikeout to end the inning, yeah, go for it. Why not? So I thought it was cool. And, there's some competitive banter that's part of being an athlete that should be allowed. And there was no threat there. They weren't going towards each other to have a physical altercation. It's totally normal, totally fine for competitive males to just to say things to each other in passing and talk a little trash. It's totally harmless as long as it doesn't cross any lines.
Coach, record turnout tonight, obviously the fans were a factor. What are you now expecting for the next 2 games, both neutral site and going over to Columbia?
I'm sure it'll be electric at both places, and would expect nothing less. And you got the best rivalry in college baseball, and two great fan bases. Ours is better, but it's just that 2 fan bases that are very passionate about their sports, and when you put bragging rights, when the state is divided down the middle like it is, and there's it doesn't matter what teams what sport you're playing. When it's Clemson versus South Carolina, it's going to be heated and it's going to be electric, and so I would expect floor field to be divided right down the middle, and tonight felt like a 90-10 crowd for Clemson, and I'm sure it'll be 90-10 at Founders Park for the Gamecocks. So, you know, a lot of baseball left to be played. That's why we're happy about this one, but not satisfied because there's a lot of weekend left.
Coach, going off of that, obviously the crowd plays into it. South Carolina hasn't won here since 2019. Do you think that's a big factor to have the home field advantage in terms of the crowd that's behind you, getting people riled up and maybe intimidating them a little bit?
I didn't know that stat. I think home games in general are an advantage, obviously, and the home team, you know, typically wins because there's just so many things that go into your own home environment, knowing your field, having your crowd, the comfort of, you know, playing on your own turf, and so yeah, it's definitely an advantage to, you know. But I like the format that we have, where each school gets a chance to be at home, and then there's a neutral site one in the middle.
Eric, you talked before that you want your guys to think about this rivalry year-round, not just the week that you're playing South Carolina. What does any win, every win in this rivalry mean to this program?
Well, it's huge because it's for so many people, not just us. And you know, we're Team 128, and I just learned that we've been playing South Carolina since 1899. So for almost our entirety of our baseball existence, we've had this rivalry with South Carolina. You think about all the players and all the teams and all the years where, you know, the rosters change, the coaches change, but the rivalry remains. And so it's so good for the state when both teams are really good. It's so good for college baseball when both teams are really good. And there's a lot of times historically where, you know, not only do these teams meet as two ranked teams in the regular season, but these teams meet in the postseason. These teams meet in Omaha. And it's just good. It's just good for the state of South Carolina, state of South Carolina baseball, and in all of college baseball as well. I think it's you know, widely regarded that this is college baseball's best rivalry, and if there's other schools that believe they have a better rivalry, they're certainly putting us second.
Coach, Cam got the first inning rolling with a bunt and then Purify in the second. How important is it to you that guys 1 through 9 can all get a bunt down?
It's amazing. I mean, that's you know, you got Cam is one of the top prospects in the country, and they played a shift on him, and that's a team play right there where he just wanted to get on base for his team, and executes a perfect drag bunt. I mean, perfect. He couldn't have rolled it any better. So I thought that was awesome, and that certainly got the scoring going, because that started a 2-out rally, and Pano finds his way on, and Priest knocks them both in. So that inning doesn't happen maybe without that drag bunt. That's the type of drag bunt. Caden Grice did that a couple years ago as well, where you don't expect it from your star player, but when they do it, it's so much more valuable than just a single.
Anything else for Coach? All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
See you